Jai Shri Naga, Shri devotee. Yes, we've got Keshavananda Prabhu here, and he can give some very pukka Italian for say all the devotees ki jai in Italian.
Tutti devoti ki jai. Hare Krishna.
So we have our international gathering for Sri Kartik Parikrama continuing, based in our Chaitanya Saraswati Matan mission in Vrindavan. And so first of all, let us come together, and we can start with some mini Vandanam. Oh no, but here is Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj. We see him on the screen. So first, Jai Srila Bhakti Sudhir Goswami Maharaj ki jai, heading our programs in Vrindavan. Our
Jai
sweet
Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindaji Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Rasa Bihari Jiu ki jai. Sri Braj-mandal parikrama ki jai. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Vrinda ki jai. Nyasi Vrinda ki jai. Seva Vrinda ki jai. Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopal Bhatta Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Dham ki jai. Sri Gupta Govardhan ki jai. Sri Braj-mandal parikrama ki jai. And the Antya Leela of Sri Chaitanya Charitamritam, Kaviraj Goswami, that's where we find the Vandeham, the Vandanam. So we can say, Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutam Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitang Tang Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitangsya. And the three deities principal, Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Manda Maderkati Matsarvasvat Padambojo Sri Radha Madana Mohano Dibyad Brindaranya Kapadrumadha Srimad Nagara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Pristalibi Sevyamanu Smarami Sriman Rasa Rasarangbi Bangshi Bhatta Tatastita Karshan Venu Svanai Gopi Gopinatha Sri Estana. Hare Krishna. Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate. Namo Mahavaranaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratashe Namo. Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Hemavadivyachchavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Yes, Maharaj, please locate us in that divine realm under the guidance of our Sri Guru Varga.
I'm sitting with Keshavananda Prabhu, so I think we must be in Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Matan Mission Vrindavan.
Yeah.
And We are today heading, at least first of all, to the temple, the beautiful temple and the beautiful deity of Sri Radharaman of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And no doubt we'll get the opportunity to visit also Gopal Bhatta Goswami's samadhi, his actual samadhi, there close to his temple. And just near Nidhuvan, another of the kunjas of Vrindavan. And perhaps Keshavananda Prabhu would like to take us in the mood of the pilgrims from our temple to Radharaman Temple.
Hare Krishna. Well, we hope everybody's assembled at the right time. We're always happy when Pulanana Didi from Ujumjar is there, because she's a very good organizer and everybody's very punctual, and we're ready to go together and offer our obeisances to Guru Maharaj and the deities at home and set off through we turn left at the end past Radha Temple, and then we go through a small gate into the tiny back streets of Vrindavan, and each courtyard we can hear ching, 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 ching. We see various, home deities as we wind our way through. We go past the Shaji Temple, which is a whole story in itself. This magnificent, temple that cost however much it cost, because Radharamanji was going to move at one point, and they built a whole new temple for him and spent so much money, and then he decided not to go anywhere, so he stayed where he was. So everywhere he looked, there's something wonderful and just full of juice and substance that's come to us through our Guru Bhag. And then we go down past the long wall of Nidhuvan. Nidhuvan is another garden area like Sevakunj with trees and monkeys and pastimes we hear going on in there. And then we come to the, again, glorious, but you can say humble. I mean, there's a nice gate to the Radharaman Temple, but by modern standards and the things we see being built in Vrindavan, very humble temple, so humble that Radharaman, he never left. He was there all the time through all the trials and tribulations that came with the different occupations through the centuries. He was always in Vrindavan. And we go into this wonderful entranceway with the beautiful houses of the priests and the servitors of Sri Radharaman. We always like to go, if we try and catch the arati there, if we can, we're always happy to hear the arati there, because the refrain of that arati with all the locals singing their hearts out, singing Shri Radha Ramana Lala Jai 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 Shri Bhatta Gopal. That's the end of every verse, and they sing it so powerfully and wonderfully. We're thrilled when we get to hear the pilgrims and the servitors of Radharaman singing the arti to their beautiful Lord. So this is our journey there, happily. And they have a traffic light system. They have a green light and a red light. If the red light is on, it means the curtains are closed. And if the green light is on, it means art is occurring. and a beautiful small home sweet home type of temple, actually. We can be bold enough to say.
So let us make that journey with Harinam Sankirtan, with the Kirtan from the Govardhan Temple, Maharaj. Is this suitable?
Yes. How
right,
much kirtan should we have?
I think 3 Maha Mantras are necessary, Maharaj. Our steps are not so big.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj. So if you like to take an asana, we'll make a nice seat for you on the legs there, and we can be seated in the temple of Radharaman if you wish. And here's
So I see also joining in our parikrama some most exalted, worshipful devotees, senior devotees in our movement, and particularly my senior godbrother, Srila Bhakti, Vigraha, Nyasi Maharaj, and I would be overjoyed to hear something from him in praise of Radharaman and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So Maharaj, if you would kindly say a few words to the devotees this evening. Very good. Jai Sripad Bhakti Vigraha Nyasi Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Mike.
First going there a long time ago in the 70s, and we were told they had the highest, finest standard of worship, and that I think originally it was Shilavadi. She learned from Srila Prabhupada, but later she was sent there, I think. The devotees were sent there to learn the standard of worship that was established in Iskcon. And so I remember going there and being amazed at how how beautiful the temple was, the beautiful entryway, and but how small it was inside. It was I expected with the beautiful entryway for it to open up, but it didn't. So, but the deity was unbelievably beautiful. That all I remember. I can't picture the deity. Here we go. Yeah. So Srimati Radharani is there, but not visible. I guess that's I don't know the story behind it though. Do you, Maharaj?
I know there is a representation of Srimati Radharani on the side.
Yes. Self-manifest deity appeared to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, is it? I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Srimati Radharani is there, but not visible. So the clothing are all there. Everything is set up beautifully for Srimati Radharani, but we can't see her presence.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj, because we've heard that, and I was discussing this earlier today, that, and just to remind everyone, we are utterly dependent, exclusively dependent on what is being transmitted from our Sri Guru Varga. So sometimes when we visit these holy places, though, we're hearing something from the local people or lore or different things. And, we want to bow our heads and palms, and that sometimes we're hearing something we could say that is accurate, sometimes apocryphal, sometimes something that is upasiddhantic or aparadic even. So we have to be very careful. So what to speak of us, we know Mahaprabhu told Jagadananda Pandit, when you go to Vrindavan, do not mix with the local people, show them utmost respect, they're worshipable, but you always stay under the care of Sanatana Goswami Prabhu. And he told the Jagadananda Pandit, who we can understand elsewhere as either Satyabhama of Dwaraka, the Parshad of Mahaprabhu, the Prema Vibhart, that Jagadananda Pandit. Right? So if that sort of advice was given to Jagadananda Pandit, then what to speak of us? But as Nyasi Maharaj is saying, this particular temple, Srila Prabhupada had some appreciation for them. They had appreciation for Prabhupada. And if we go back to the former history, we know that when Srila Saraswati Thakur went to Vrindavan, if you recall the other day, I said, Guru Maharaj said, our Guru Maharaj's expressions were mainly revolutionary. He went there in the saffron dress of a sannyasi, flanked by two of his disciples dressed like priests from Europe, like black, you know, the black hat, the black vest, the traditional dress that we associate with Euro standard priests, I guess you could call them. But you know, in Russia too, Orthodox, that kind of look actually is more close to it. And so when he entered that way in Vrindavan, this was scandalous. You know, he was not received well. In fact, temples were closed to them. They were sometimes pelted. I mean, it was really unfortunate. But not so the Radharaman Goswamis. They recognized the legitimacy of Srila Saraswati Thakur. And that was something very meaningful to Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev gave some special recognition and consideration to them. In addition to this standard that Maharaj alluded to, which is supposed to be in the line, well, let's say this, there's Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and we're told, if we look a little more closely, actually it's this line who is there, they're descendants of a pujari of the Radharaman Temple that goes back to the time of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. It would be inappropriate for us to think they're descendants of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, with all due respect, right? But so, and also to the point of Saraswati Thakur, when we say, well, of course he went in the saffron dress of a sannyasi. Is there any other kind? You know. So when Jagadananda Pandit was there with Sanatana Goswami Prabhu, Sanatana Goswami Prabhu was, we told, Guru Maharaj said the other day, Mahaprabhu gave, he says, Babaji and Benares. I'm just repeating his exact words, right? The Babaji Vaishnav. But he's wearing a saffron turban, right? Babaji Vaishnav means white. He's wearing a saffron turban, and Jagadananda Pandit Prabhu was saying like, Hare Krishna, oh, how beautiful, that's from Mahaprabhu. You've taken the cloth of Mahaprabhu and you're honoring, you know, taking on your head, so beautiful. And Sanatana goes, oh, no, it's not from Mahaprabhu. Well, who is it from? You know, Madhusudan Saraswati. What? You know, like Mayavadi. Then we're told Jagadananda Pandit taking a pot and threatening Sanatana Goswami. This is their pastimes. These are pastimes constructed by Yogamaya and Baladev, and there's a happy ending. But he's like, we know that he is what we call, you know, a transcendental hothead from other pastimes with Mahaprabhu, the oil, the, you know, different things, the cooking. So, I mean, actually, it makes it, and that's very Satyabhama-like. It's Bhama Bhav, the Bhav of opposition, and it just makes him more dear to the devotees. The devotees don't find his behavior objectionable. It's a kind of hot sweetness, right? Like there's like chili and then the sweet, hot mixture. So anyway, and then Sanatana Goswami Prabhu, realizing the situation, says these words, yes, this dress, the saffron, that is not fit for a Vaishnava. Okay, that's from the holy lotus lips of Sanatana Goswami Prabhu. So when Saraswati Thakur is coming in that very colored dress, sannyasi, they're saying, Sanatana Goswami Prabhu has told this dress is not fit for a Vaishnava. So Srila Guru Maharaj, he is eternally serving Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and anyone who may come to challenge his position, you have to get past Guru Maharaj. Right? So what is Guru Maharaj's response to this? It's very beautiful. He says that a field general in the war, he surveys the battlefield and he will decide the dress of the soldiers, their weaponry. Like he makes how do you say, on the spot, real-time decisions about this, right? And Guru Maharaj always gives an example then to illustrate what he's talking about. And there's Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur with Tirtha Maharaj. And this is Braj-mandal parikrama. You have to think, that's like showing up in a Cadillac or a Rolls Royce, right? We think, oh no, it's some old antique car. No, that show up for the Braj-mandal parikrama like that is like, yeah. And there's other things too. We can't say them all at this time, at this juncture, you know. But so, so Guru Maharaj's example, right? He's saying about the field general making those decisions, how to fight the war. He said, so in the Austro-Hungarian Empire, there's this war with the French. And the generals of the Austro-Hungarian king, they have to report to the king and say like, things are not going well. What? We're losing. And then he goes, why? We have superior men, power. And they say this, there is this new general on the French side of the name Napoleon. And they say, he doesn't know how to fight properly. And they say, wait, what? He doesn't know how to fight properly and we're losing? And they say, please explain. He said, well, everyone knows we line up these phalanxes and you attack the weakest spot. So we're all prepared for that. But this new general on the other side, who doesn't know what he's doing, who doesn't know how to fight properly, he attacks the strongest point and takes that down, and then everything else comes tumbling down. Right? So they're saying, Saraswati, implying he doesn't know what he's doing. They'd say, the Gaudiya Mat Guru is a mushroom, meaning he has no roots. Where did he come from? He appeared from, we know where he came from. Golokera Prema Dana Harina, he descended from Goloka Vrindavan to distribute something. There is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When we told that someone who is a reputed Siddha Purush, Mahapurush in Vrindavan, 3 lakhs of Krishna Nam every day, they say he couldn't attend a Bhagwat recitation, because if he heard the name of Krishna, he would just melt in ecstasy and be foaming at the mouth and rolling on the. So he couldn't attend the Bhagwat recitation. And he had 2 attendants. So when he would be showing this ecstatic sense, one coming from one side wiping, one coming from the other side wiping, like this, and all the people in awe. And so when Srila Saraswati Thakur, he was on this Braj-mandal parikrama. And how much is the whole thing, Madhusudan Maharaj? If you do the whole.
1 month.
Right, but I meant the distance. Anyway, so a month, right? What month? Kartik month. But it's a substantial distance. And you cover, we're apologizing for our inability to visit certain places. Keshavananda Prabhu knows so many of them, as does Madhusudan Maharaj. But because you need a month, maybe more, but at least a month. But at the end of that month, Guru Maharaj said, Saraswati Thakur goes, oh, I'm so unfortunate. I just completed the Braj-mandal parikrama and I couldn't find a single Vaishnav. And all the devotees are like, what? Isn't everyone in Vrindavan a devotee of Vaishnava? And they're thinking amongst themselves, like, oh, what about that Mahapurush? Like, don't just name anyone and everyone. Name him. The one who does the 3 lakhs of Krishna Nam every day, only hearing the advice of Rup and Sanatan, who's showing ecstatic symptoms. Prabhupada, what about him? Yeah, he is an infant class Vaishnav. Now they're even more perplexed. And Guru Maharaj is one of them. We dare to sit here and tell these stories because we've heard them from Srila Guru Maharaj, but Guru Maharaj is very honest. Honesty is necessary in making progress in Krishna consciousness. Sidebar, footnote. And Guru Maharaj is the most honest person I ever met. And so he is engaged in Atma Samiksha, self-scrutiny, seeing where he can improve or addressing his doubts. He's very honest about these things. So he's saying when Saraswati Thakur said these things, he's also in disbelief, like the other devotees, but he has such faith in Saraswati Thakur. He's thinking, if Prabhupada said this, we know it's true. So what is it in me that is apprehensive about embracing this? Right? We shall think like that. We hear so many things, and sometimes there's this little resistance within us that Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj once called causeless unwillingness. And I thought, that's a good, thank you, Hare Krishna. So Guru Maharaj said, so somehow he had the opportunity to observe that person after the party left, and some could be a few months later or something like that. So Guru Maharaj goes there to see and sees this show basically going on. And he said, I would look at him, and he said, and then in my mind's eye, I would see my Guru Maharaj, infant class Vaishnava. And then I would see him, observe him, and I would see my Guru Maharaj. And then he said, and then I came to this understanding. He said, this gentleman, Guru Maharaj is always so gracious. He said, this gentleman, he said, by his practices, he's trying to elevate himself to go higher toward that domain. Right? He said, our Guru Maharaj and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they descended from that plane of which this gentleman, through his practices, is trying to progress toward there. They descended from that very plane here to distribute something. Right? That was his answer. So why did I say that? Because, about Radharaman. So it's Saraswati Thakur serving the situation. Remember, Guru Maharaj quoting Saraswati Thakur says, kirtan means a fight. Like, does it say that in the Sanskrit dictionary? I doubt it. I doubt it. Right? So how can he make this statement? What is his conception? And Guru Maharaj happily, forcefully, faithfully representing that. Kirtan means a fight. It means, in addition, he said, to kol and kartals, don't misunderstand. There's conventional kirtan, yes. He's saying, but really, it is promoting the fight between the Krishna conception and the Maya misconception. So he's surveying the field. Remember, the same person who said, European civilization, crush it. That was his. European civilization, crush it. The whole world is enthralled in that. And now by extension, America and the present day we find ourselves in the internet age, and he's saying, crush it, or use it to undo it, in a sense. Right? So that Saraswati Thakur surveyed the preaching field at the time, and he saw the people still in India, they have so much respect for this color, right? Not white, not the white of the Babajis, or the, not this color. They have so much respect for. There is an organization called the Kali Kamliwala. They in different holy places distribute free food to sadhus. Right? Some pious man thought, that's what I want to. I want to have a what do you call it? A charitable institution, and in every holy place, sadhus can come and take, because they've given up the world, and they're just taking Krishna Nam or whatever, we've seen, writing Ram Nam in a book, page after page after page, or some such thing. So he's saying they can come. And with some of my friends, when we were going to the Himalaya, we went there too. But there's to take your seat there, there's one qualification. You have to be wearing this color. If you're not wearing this color, you can't. You understand? It's that deeply ingrained in the Indian DNA about Rakta Vesh, which is the original expression for the red dress of the sannyasi. And on that point, Guru Maharaj is saying, and Mahaprabhu is wearing lighter. He didn't wear the heavy Mayavadi color. So Saraswati Thakur, who was Bimala Prasad and a white-clad brahmachari, sometimes we see those photos as well, living in Mayapur and getting this inspiration to begin his missionary activities. He got the inspiration to wear the saffron dress, to take sannyas and wear saffron. So when he showed up in Vrindavan, they're shuttering the temple doors, not appreciating him, but the Radharaman Goswamis opened their doors and embraced him and his conception and his followers and throughout. So when we would go there, I had the honor and privilege to meet with Vishwambar Goswami. Nyasi Maharaj remembers him. He was the head Radharaman Goswami at the time, also the mayor of Vrindavan at one point, and quite a resume, and very nice, and he would always take care of us when we were there and ask for some news about Guru Maharaj. But I remember one time I was very excited, having come from Guru Maharaj, and this sloka we were discussing earlier, Yata Yata Gora Padara Vinde Vindeta Bhaktim Krita Punya Rasi Tata Tatot Sarpati Hridya Kasmat Radha Padamboja Sudambu Rasi. Prabodhananda Saraswati saying, give all your attention to the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Right? Those who are Sukritivan, Krita Punya Rasi, means Sukritivan, Sumedasa, Yajantihi Sumedasa. Guru Maharaj, it's from the Bhagavatam about Krishna Varnam, Trisha Krishnam, Sango, Pangashtra, Parshadam, Yagye Sankirtana Praye, Yajantihi Sumedasa, refined theistic intellect. They'll give their full energy in service to the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. And we like to say Guru and Gauranga. And what will happen as a consequence? Tata Tatot Sarpati Hridya Kasmat. Automatically, subconsciously, deep from within the core of your heart, and these are Guru Maharaj's words, the Radha Rasa Shuddha Nidhi will begin to flow. That's how he And remember, that's the big book of Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur with the glories of Srimati Radharani. Tatata Totsarpati Hridyakasmat, and then what? Radha Padam Boja Sudamburasi. Right? Spring out of the soil of Vrindavan, Radha Padman Kitadam, Vrindavan Dharanam. And Radha doesn't like that, but a little carelessly, I was so excited coming from Guru Maharaj, and I was sort of bubbling over at one point, and I said, oh, and you know what? But I didn't say where I'd just come from yet, but somehow we were in this discussion about this. Guru Maharaj not mentioned yet. And I said, and Vrindavan is so wonderful. I said, but we're told that every atom of Navadvip can give Vrindavan in full. I'm telling that to the mayor of Vrindavan, the Radharaman Goswami, and he goes, you're a disciple of Sridhar Maharaj. Yes? Like that. And I thought, like, he can recognize Guru Maharaj's flow, like, and he came to San Jose, like on a little tour, and I asked Guru Maharaj, like, and this, yes, so he slept in my room there, and we had prasadam together, and they said he can speak to the devotees, and he was very delightful and loving and affectionate, and so much respectful and appreciation of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and his followers. So it's one of those places we're like, sometimes we need to consult on something. It's one of those places where you can find, oh, what are they doing there? And that you can understand with some certainty is the way to proceed. But I remember being told when we went there that the reason it was so hidden like that was for that very reason Keshavananda Prabhu mentioned before. They were afraid of the time that Radharaman would be assaulted, or so they were keeping him in a really, you had to go like this, that, it was like purposely done that way to hide the deity. And then, as he told later, like, oh, there's a beautiful place we can move to, but he apparently liked it like that. And so do we. I mean, when you go there, there's something so special about, because Radharamanji, like, he appears from the objective point of view to be smaller, but I think the more you become enthralled by him, like time, space, and all these things vanish, and you realize you're looking into the central conception of the infinite. And he has no painting, but if you again look out, you see this beautiful smile and those eyes that are so much favorite of Srila Bhakti Vimalavadut Maharaj. Wherever he goes, it's like he has the extra pair in his pocket or something. He goes, put these on. He's enchanted by the eyes of Radharaman. And the deity's form is so ecstatically exaggerated, the broad shoulders, the thin waist, just he's like Shamam Tribanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham personified. And we're told there, that's what I wanted to say, was that that Gopal Bhatta Goswami, remember, of all the Goswamis, it's just, it has to do with the culture of the day. There can, Rup, Raghunath, Sanatan, Raghunath, their kayasta means their caste is not pristine in the eyes of the society of the day. Inconceivable to us, we can't even understand it. Nonetheless, that was the case. So sometimes that means if they're saying these revolutionary things, like Mahaprabhu is Swayam Bhagavan, like this Chaitanya Charitamrita, people will say like, where is that described? Or, are there any, what do the Brahmins say? Well, you can find no higher class Brahmin than Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and incidentally, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, his uncle, right? So Guru Maharaj makes it a point that, like, as we hear from Srinivasacharya, Nana Shastra Vicharanai Kunipanosha Dharma, they're extracting from all the scriptures, but Gopal Bhatta Goswami has some extra extracting capacity. So he's like madly extract. Look, he sees evidence everywhere for the divinity of Mahaprabhu, Krishna, it's so many places. And he's pulling that out, but he has like stacks of references everywhere, but they're not structured so much, because like a bee who's madly, intoxicated by the honey, he has no time for that in a sense. But Sanatan Goswami Prabhu and Jiva Goswami Prabhu, they take all of his notes and structure them and present Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is that book that, so if the highest class Brahmins want to know about the authenticity of the line and the practices, etc., of Mahaprabhu and his followers, this book will convince them. So that's one book, the Hari Bhakti Vilas. But being a highest class South Indian Brahmin, he has these 12 shellograms that he worships. And they would show, there was a box they were kept in underneath a tree and the whole thing. And we're told that the Nrsimha Chaturdashi comes. And on that day, he's thinking, remember, we know, the devotees are always appreciating the devotion of another devotee. So he's thinking, how great a devotee is Prahlad Maharaj. Right? The evidence of that, he's saying, like, Nrsimhadev appears out of, shield, like stone, because of the pure heart of Prahlad Maharaj. The Lord's appearing that way. And he's saying, and who am I? A stone-hearted man without devotion. The Lord will not appear to someone like me. But look at Prahlad. He's so great, Prahlad Maharaj. So he's just lost in praise of the glories of Prahlad Maharaj and goes to sleep. And then the dream, Gopal Bhatta, and he wakes up and he gets some inspiration to go, your heart is not like that. What? Go check your Shilas, And we're told he goes there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, and then 12, Radharaman is there. Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hrit Saroja. The Lord is reciprocating what's in the heart of his devotee. So then when you look at Radharaman, you think, what is the heart of Gopal Bhatta Goswami if the Lord is appearing in this way to reciprocate that devotion? And one other thing I would like to say is that Guru Maharaj, 2 verses from Gopal Bhatta Goswami that Guru Maharaj likes very much. Where he says, Govinda Balabhe Radhe Parte Tamahang. And the way Guru Maharaj says it's very beautiful in Sri Guru and his graves. He's saying, Krishna says, oh, you want a direct connection with me? That's not my department. He said, for that you have to go to Radharani, that's her department. Like, I can't give you that. And see, and you think, and I thought of this too, like sometimes the biggest men in this world, like the presidents, like when they have an appointment, you have to see their person. They can't even arrange that. This person who's with them, they can bring you in connection with them. They can't even do that. Right? But there's something mysterious there, what Krishna is saying. He's saying, really, substantial connection. You can try for direct approach. What is your extracting capacity? It will be in your interest to go to the person, Rasaraj Mahabhav, Chintamani, Radha Thakurani. She can extract the maximum from Krishna. And that brings the second verse. Radhe Vrindavan Se Kornamrita Bahini. That she's like this river of divine mercy enriched with magnanimous distribution. So very beautifully, Gopal Bhatta Goswami says, his prayer to Radharani is that Govinda is everything to you. Govinda is the Lord of your heart. That much I know. But Govinda Ballabha, but one thing, there's another thing that I know. So I know you were exclusively wholly given over to Govinda. Of that there is no doubt. But the other thing I know is that you are the queen of the heart of Govinda. Right? So in his heart, that's where, so I am approaching you, right, for this connection. So Govinda Balabhe Radhe Pratre Tamaham Sada. So he's saying very beautifully there. What is he showing? Once again, thematically, this very much, Radha Dasyam, the ultimate aspiration, and the Gaudiya Vaishnav, Rupa Nuga line, Asha Bhare Amrita Sindhu Maya Katanchit, Kalo Mayati, Gamita Kila Sampratam Hi, Tram Chet Kripamayi Vidasa Shinai Vakinne, Prane Brajena Chabaroru Bakarinati. Hare Krishna. Yes, please. Bhakti Lalita, Devashis, Srila Gurudev's personal secretary, can say something.
Just really quick.
Yeah.
Before the larger deities came, Gandharvika Rasabihari, the small
at Armad and Sevakunj.
Radha Rasabihari were our deities we worshipped.
Yes.
And this maybe was around year 2000. And we were worshiping them inside the guest house in a small room.
The big ones or the little ones?
The little ones.
The little
ones. Big ones hadn't come yet.
All right, wait, there on.
Yeah. Radha Rasabihari, the
Hare
small
Krishna.
deities.
Very beautiful.
That Gurudev was very much wanting to dress them like Radharaman.
Oh, really?
So he sent Jagamohini and myself to go meet Padmanava Goswami.
Yes.
Who I believe is the
son of Vishwambar Goswami. He is now the head Radharaman.
Maybe his son now, but he received us in his office.
Yeah.
And Gurudev asked us to take pictures of the pattern that they use for Radharaman, how to dress them in such a grand way. He said, small deity, but the dress is sprawling.
Yes.
And he wanted to dress Radha Rasabihari like Radharaman. So we got measurements, and then I asked him about Radharani. I asked Padmanava Goswami, and he said they wrote, I don't know the
Radha.
date, they wrote her name on, carved her name on a stone, like marble stone. And then they dressed that stone with a sari.
Yes.
So that's, she's being represented there just by her name carved in a stone.
It's like a hoop skirt, sort of. I mean, for like that.
Yeah.
Right. So they wrote her name, and then
they dress her name and give crown and everything.
Yes.
Worship alongside Radharaman.
When Nyasi Maharaj and I and the senior devotees went to Vrindavan, we were also told that when Janava Devi came, there were like Krishna deities, and Janava Devi introduced the Radharanis in the different temples. Hare Krishna. Because the if Madan Mohan comes,
Krishna is never alone, right? So there, but we could say for our set, we need a more, how do you say, full picture, but Krishna is never actually alone. But the devotees, or we say, are extra happy when they see Radharani and particularly Mahaprabhu revealing that Radha and Govinda are combined as Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
Just that.
Madhusudan Maharaj.
Yes,
Or-
Maharaj.
Or Nyasi Maharaj, add something.
Maharaj, you're reaching beyond the ether and pulling all these things down. I'm just a little stunned. I don't have, what can I add, Maharaj? I don't feel like I have any qualification for addition.
Hare Krishna. That is your humility. Hare Krishna. But Madhusudan Maharaj, where shall we go next? Or shall we?
Maharaj, I can just make a mini comment about
Yes,
this.
please.
But of course, in a mundane way, it's coming from me, Maharaj. But that
Right.
is, the deity is very small if we were to measure, which we won't. But, and he's in the temple, which is beyond the veranda part. So little distance from the audience. And so we see that the audience or the pilgrims, I mean, they're very eager. Really, most of us can't see much detail from a distance, but it is one of those temples where especially we can remember Guru Maharaj's expression of how when we come before the deity, we must feel that the deity is seeing us and not that I'm seeing him.
Yeah.
And here, even the earlier picture that was shown here on the Infinity Media screen, that was almost a clearer picture than when we can see when we're standing in front of the temple.
Sure. For certain. And you're reminding me of when, in the Iskcon Temple in Juhu Beach in Bombay, when that was being in the stage of architectural plans. So, because remember, Srila Prabhupada never actually got to go there in his lifetime. It was built subsequent, but he did see the plans. And when they were presenting it to him, one thing they kept emphasizing was that wherever you were, whether high up, low, in the back, that you had this, that person could have full vision of all the deities. And they thought this was a feature, a special feature of that. And we were surprised to hear Srila Prabhupada say what you're talking about. He said, no, not like that. And for those who've been to Natadwar, he didn't use Radharaman, but he used Natadwar as an example. You know, there's this, I would call it's almost like a doorway, right? And to this day, and Paramananda knows too, like who was there more recently, when there's an arati, because Prabhupada also talked about towns where the deity, where the whole town's life is centered around the deity and the seva puja of the deity. And I saw this when we were there. When an arati is about to come, all the stores close. They shutter all the doors and everyone makes a mad dash for the temple room. And then there's that small doorway through which you can have the view of Gopal or Srinathji. And because we were waiting in the back one time and sort of moseying up to, and we're just run over by like, 100 wonderful ladies who had something that we didn't have, right. Yes, like you said, those two men tell that.
Yes, we just witnessed several actually, but one man was everybody was so excited, banging, literally banging, trying to open the door for darshan. I asked our friend, poor guy, he said, I said, those are, pilgrims who wanted to come here whole life. I can see how eager they are. I said, no, it's just, that's one uncle that I knew him since I was born. He was born here as one of the original families for 70 plus years. 4 times a day, he's coming to this darshan. You should have seen that eagerness. And I was just put to shame. I can only aspire for that kind of eagerness.
Yeah, and so what Prabhupada said, to the surprise of everyone, he said, I like it that way. He said, then it requires the pilgrimage, parikramas, or the darshaniyas, the people who are coming for darshan, like, you have to work your way to the front and you have to expend some energy and offer yourself, in a sense. So he preferred that. So the Radharaman is particularly like that. And you could say it leaves those wanting darshan hankering for more. They want to get nearer, they want to get closer, they, pull out the big lens on the camera, So to somehow it works to increase hankering. Then we say anukulyasya sankalpa. It's favorable to the culture of devotion. Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj. And another feature of the Radharaman Temple is the only temple I know where they lend out binoculars. So you can see.
Yes.
It's kind of very sweet. Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj. So would you now like to go around the corner? I mean, come out from the temple and a short pilgrimage to the Gopinath Temple or to the Govindaji Temple? They're both very near.
Yes, yes.
Which one, Maharaj? Govindaji or Gopinath?
Yes.
Okay. Then let us go to the Govindaji Temple.
And if Devashis Prabhu, the secretary of London Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat, could be prepared to say something in this connection.
He is prepared.
All right.
I speak.
So how many Mahamantras?
2 this time, Maharaj. It's very nearby.
Right, okay. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes.
So we invite, we've come to the top of the hill where the Govindaji temple is, the Iskcon temple, very famous temple and prominent temple in Vrindavan. Radha Madana Mohan, where we were yesterday, and now Radha Govindaji, also on the top of the hill. And here we are laying a little ashram for Devashis Prabhu to address us here today.
Jai Sripad Devashis Prabhu, Secretary of London Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat ki Jai. And the main Archak Sevak of Sri Radha Shyama Sundar, Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Radha Shyama Sundar ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai Maharaj, thank you. Well, difficult to follow after your talk, obviously, but Madhusudan Maharaj did remind me today that you might ask me, so I shall try. Actually, I don't really know much about Vrindavan at all, and who does? But after meeting Guru Maharaj in 1982, I went to India every year until his passing, and some of my godbrothers would go to Vrindavan on the way or on the way back, but I'm always thinking, what will I see in Vrindavan when Guru Maharaj is sitting in Navadvip? So I couldn't go anywhere else but Navadvip. I just felt like that would be a complete foolishness. So I didn't go. Actually, I didn't go to Vrindavan ever in the time of Guru Maharaj. And my first time that I went to Vrindavan was with Srila Govinda Maharaj when he began again the parikrams. And extraordinarily, that was in 1991, 30 years ago now. I was just looking this morning, and 30 years, I can't believe. But this first parikram, if you like, especially for me, it was first time. Then we went from Navadvip. It was very early in the morning, like for the first train to Howrah in the morning, and we arrived at the railway station with Gurudev. It was about just gone 4 in the morning or something, and we're all sitting. He's sitting on one of those concrete chairs that are around the trees there, and we were all sitting on the floor around him, and he said to us, "Until this morning, I didn't know that I would be able to come with you." So this had all been planned for ages. We're all ready to go. So we're all a little bit surprised by him saying this, and he said, "All week I've been praying to Srimati Radharani to give me permission to go, but she is not giving her permission to me. And up until this morning, she had not given her permission. And still, she did not give her permission. But this morning, Lalita Devi gave me permission to come." We're all sitting there thinking, like, who is this that we're sitting with? I don't think anybody thought, what? But everybody thought, like, wow, who is this that we're sitting with? That, and so openly and so, candidly, he's telling us this. And we went to Howrah, and from Howrah, we took the train to Mathura Junction. It's called the Tufan Express. Yeah. And Tufan means like whirlwind. And it must have been the slowest train you've ever been on in your life. So it took nearly 2 days to arrive in Mathura Junction. But the wonderful thing was that Gurudev was with us for that time, the whole time. So we're just, during the day, we're sitting in his carriage with him, and it was just wonderful, magical. Because after that, he would fly from Calcutta there on Jet Airways, I think it was. They gave him like free passage as he was a sadhu every time, I believe. Anyway, so that was my first time to Vrindavan, and we didn't have any temple there at that time. We stayed in Govardhan. We stayed in the Tulsi Dharmshala, and then when we moved up to Vrindavan after that, we stayed at Modi Bhavan. So, and that we did have that. Gurudev had the land there at Govardhan, but there was nothing built there, just a wall, and it was just an open compound. And that was when they discovered Anugiriraj there while they were excavating for that. But it was really a wonderful time, and especially it was a wonderful time for me because one morning Gurudev, he took me from the Tulsi Dharmshala to the temple of Haridev, which is quite nearby, and it was just he and I and Ranajit, but just us. There was no one else came. He asked me would I like to come, and I went there, and then he told me, some history of, there's just a little boy doing the puja there, and it was very beautiful to go there. And in fact, I thought at that time, in the future, if I ever have a son, then I'm going to name him Haridev in remembrance of this. But anyway, both my kids are daughters, so that didn't happen. But that was a really wonderful thing, wonderful time. And we did go that time to Govindaji, of course, and being one of the principal deities. But as everyone knows, it's not the original Govindaji, if you like, if it's appropriate to say such a thing. But because of the fear of the Mughals, in fact, it was Aurangzeb, we heard. Aurangzeb, who was the Mughal emperor, stationed in Delhi, he made his capital in Delhi. He was very much agitated to see every night this light coming in the distance, and he asked some of his followers, "What is this light that we can see?" And they said, we'll find out. And they went, and a few days later they came back and they said, this light is coming from a temple in Vrindavan, and where they burn ghee in the night as an offering to the deity Govindaji. And you can see it all, it's so much ghee, you can see it all the way in Delhi. And of course, Aurangzeb became completely enraged when he heard about this and decided to go to Vrindavan and demolish the temple, which he did. He removed so many floors of the temple. So Madhusudan Maharaj is just correcting me that it was Agra, not Delhi. Anyway, but before he came, we know, of course, Govindaji is Rupa Goswami's own deity. And for fear of the Mughals coming, the priests, Govindaji told the priests, you can take me to Jai Singh in Jaipur. And Jai Singh was the emperor of Jaipur. And in a dream, because he'd had his city was built according to Vedic architectural principles, and he'd designed it so that his palace is in the center of the city. And Krishna, Govindaji, appeared to him in a dream and said, oh, very nice you have done this city, but one mistake you made is that you put yourself in the center, whereas I should be in the center, not you. So anyway, I'm coming. So you please, Hare Krishna. So you please make a place for me to come. And Jai Singh made a temple in the grounds of the palace. And to this day, the original Govindaji, he stays in that temple there and is worshipped by the Gaudiya, well, by everyone, actually. Everyone in Jaipur worships him. Wherever you go, you see his photograph in the shop window or in the shop on the wall of the shop, everywhere. And everybody knows Govindaji, of course. And we went a few years ago when we came with you to Vrindavan, went with Paramananda Prabhu, and thousands of people at 4 o'clock in the morning crowding in to worship the Lord there. And if anyone can, when you're there, you cannot think, oh, this is just a little minority religion. When you see this, the amazing influx of people coming to worship there. Anyway, Maharaj, I don't want to take any more time, but just a few words about the parikrama and about Govindaji.
Beautiful. Jai Sri Radha Govinda ki Jai, Sri Rupa Goswami ki Jai. Listen, how many stories was the original temple?
7.
And he removed 3, 4. And it looked, and then you can imagine how tall it actually was. And that ghee, how much ghee? It was like 1,000 kilos or something, like the world's largest ghee lamp. Yeah. Hare Krishna. But Rupa Goswami, can you recite the verse Sme Rambangi and the mic?
Vamshin Yasadharam Pisalayam Ujvala Chandrakena Govinda Kyam Haritanu Miha Keshi Tirtha Pakante Aprekshishtai Stavaya Disake Bandhu Sangi Stiranga.
So Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhu, he's applying an inverted tact of opposites. Generally say, oh, there's someone so beautiful, come and see. Right? He's saying the opposite of that. He's saying, if you want to remain attached to your family, this world, and everything in it, don't go to see Govinda, who's on the at Keshavananda on the banks of the Jamuna, and with the moon shining down, right? It has Chandrakena and his flute, his Tribanga Lalitam, his threefold bending form, his charming smile. Don't go and see that, because then you won't be able to remain attached to your family, this world, and everything in it. So my advice is, don't go. Right? So he's using this reverse tact to awaken the curiosity. And well, how beautiful could he be? We find in the Brahma Samhita, Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham. If 10 million cupids personified as one, that's the seductive charm and sweetness. Remember, what are those slokas? What's the last line of every one of them? Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That go, I always remember the first time Prabhupada giving a lecture, he goes, go means Indriyas. No. And I thought, he's teaching us Sanskrit. He should have said, go means senses. But instead he said, go means Indriyas. And so, and Vindate means the one, go also means cows. Right? But Vindate means who's nourishing or giving pleasure and happiness to. To whom? Go the cows, or go the Indriyas, the senses. Sometimes, I mean, we just, we're hearing the beautiful British English expressing this Krishna conception. And so I must invoke William Blake, right, who says, if the doors of perception are cleansed, we will see everything as it is, infinite. So people think, it is a beautiful expression from him, and it's very nice, it's very perfect. But I think it's almost like an invitation, saying if the doors of the senses are cleansed, those indriyas, what are they? The eyes, ears, nose, the doors of perception, eyes, ears, nose, etc. Saying if they're cleansed, of what? Guru Maharaj answers, acquired prejudice, acquired tendency. So when they're cleansed of that, then you'll see everything as it is. What? Infinite? That means that there is, infinity, the beautiful, infinity, the charming, infinity, the sweet. That means reality, the beautiful, right? Who has the most beautiful form, the Tribanga, Smeram Bungi, that Rupa Goswami is referring to, this, what is it? Shamam Tribanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham. One of the central features of Krishna is this Tribanga, his form, so-called threefold bending form. But the voice of Krishna, the sound of Krishna's flute, the sound of Krishna's name, the softness of Krishna, there's a corresponding infinite for every sense. Right? That means Govinda, or elsewhere, Rishikesh. And then what are we told? This is good news for us. One is, why do we have senses? Right? The Queen Rukmini says, hearing about you through sound, your form came to me. I see, you're the most beautiful thing in the world, beyond. Right? Nirvishakarna vivarai horatonga tapam, rupam disham dishimatam akilarta labham. And now I see your inconceivably beautiful form. I think I've got everything. She takes it to another level by saying, so now shamelessly, I'm asking you to kidnap me. I mean, I've created these karmic circumstances. My only hope is if you'll come and rescue me. But the point I mean to make is she's saying, so now hearing about you, seeing you, then I realize why there's the auditory sense. It's for hearing about you, hearing your glories, hearing your holy name, hearing the sweet sound of your flute. Rupam, the divine form of Krishna. When we think Shama, Rupam, Shama Eva Param Rupam, from Raghupati Upajai. He's saying, and now that I'm seeing your Shama Sundar, Achintraguna Swarup of Shama Sundar, I realize why we have eyes. So each one of these senses, right? And who is he? Govinda, who is the personification of the aspiration of all of those senses. But what does Rupa Goswami tell us, quoting Narada Pancharatra? Hrishikesha Hrishikena Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam. That you can use your senses. He's Hrishikesh. You can use your senses to serve him. You don't have to dismiss them or get rid of them. Right? And so that's good news for all the devotees and all the practitioners. So, Sabai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo, Bachamsi Vaikunta Gunana Varnane. We're talking Ambarish Maharaj. What did he do? He used his mind for thinking about Krishna, his voice for glorifying Krishna, his legs for taking him to the temple. He cleansed the temple of Krishna. Every one of his senses were engaged in divine service. And just to connect it to these kings we hear about, normally so many kings, even Vedic, and they have pujaris, pandas, and so many others to do the seva puja for the deities. And that's a wonderful thing. They're men of means. They can arrange that. And they manage, right? Not Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj had everyone else do the management. He did the seva puja, cleaned the temple, did the Hari, he did all the spiritual things and had everybody else manage the kingdom. And we would be remiss, we're here, part of this parikrama is to glorify the Goswamis of Vrindavan. And we hear, as we heard, Rup, Sanatan, a different tree every few days, maybe sometimes staying a little longer, in Kadam Kandi or here or there. Where does Guru Maharaj say Prabodhananda stayed? And what is it? Enzanavan. Anyone recall? Anyway, so they stay in different places, but so that Govindaji who ends up in Jaipur in this palatial temple, it was not always that way. So when Raghunath Bhatta Goswami has this disciple who's a man of means, in modern terms, like millionaire, billionaire, what have you, he's saying, Maharaj Mang Singh. He's saying, I want to do some seva for you. So what does Raghunath Bhatta say? Oh, Rupa Goswami, whom I consider his deity, Govindaji, if you could make a temple for him, that would be very nice. And that's the temple that he made. And we're unlike when you see how grand it, I mean, that's like on the ground floor, the ceilings are what, like how many meters? Yeah. Oh, no, more. I think like 20 or so. I mean, they're really, but I've been there, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never been shown a room for Rupa Goswami. This is the Govindaji temple, right? And what do we hear? Rup and Sanatan staying with Jiva at Radha Damodar in very modest settings. So it's not that the big temple was built for Govindaji and then Rupa Goswami took seat there. No, only for his deity. That's otherwise he is, Kopina Kantasrito situation. Yes, Madhusudan Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj, my Dandavat. Where would you like to go? We're so close to the Gopinath Temple. I know that the clock is ticking.
Yes,
but we
so
go
that one
here.
more, Gopinath, because we've done Radha Madan Mohan
Yes.
and Govindaji. So Gopinath would be appropriate, and we can conclude this evening's parikrama there.
Yes, Maharaj. So I think this is two Maha mantras to come down the hill from Govindaji, turn left, and just follow it along the bazaar, the street, which is called Gopinath Bazaar, and then turn left. Gopinath.
Yes. Gopinath Bazaar. Yes, Maharaj.
So here we are at the Radha Gopinath Temple. As we enter the temple, then into the compound, first again the big gate. Okay, Radha Gopinath, yes. So then there's the big gate, we go into a small square, and then when we go in, the original Gopinath Temple is the sandstone building on the right, which has a very triangular dome, very triangular shaped dome on the top. But due to Aurangzeb's terror of Vrindavan, then the deity, also the original deity of Gopinath, took shelter in Jaipur, as did Govindaji. And so that first temple now, there are other deities which have been installed there. We go and give our obeisances. Actually, Nitai and Gauranga are there. And then a new temple right beside the old Gopinath, the original Gopinath temple is constructed. When we go just a few meters further and turn left, we comes into a big marbled courtyard, a very nice square, which cuts out the outside noise. It has the classic overhanging ceilings and verandas that go all the way around. So there's almost no other noise within there. And then we go up these long steps, very long steps, and into the Radha Gopinath present day temple there, where is the Pratibhu Murti of the Lord. And here we are, yes, just now we were there beside Radha and Gopinath, in front of them just now. And this is a temple where actually here in Vila Govinda, we have bowls, breakfast bowls that sound when you accidentally touch them with a spoon. They sound very much like the gongs that play in this particular temple, Radha Gopinath. You tap one bowl twice and then another bowl twice, and they're always a little bit of a different, one's a little higher and one's a little lower. And this is very classic sound of this Radha Gopinath temple. So we often get transformed there, Maharaj. So Gopinath, and we know that Madhu Pandit worshipped them in the recent times, and his samadhi is outside the temple compound, but just beside the temple compound. But here we are at Radha Gopinath, the third of the principal deities of Radha Madana Mohan, Radha Govinda, and Radha Gopinath. So Maharaj, a nice sitting place for you, and we kindly invite you to take your seat and to let us see by hearing.
Well, actually, how about we ask Keshavananda Prabhu?
Yes.
To say a few words.
Yes.
About Radha Gopinath.
Indeed.
And
Here-
Madhusudan,
Yes,
not
yeah.
so. I mean, he was one of those Vaishnavas who desire no fame and ask not to his name not to be mentioned in many places. But yes, Keshavananda Prabhu, can you say a few words, please?
Well, I can try by your grace. Really, when I'm thinking of going now into Radha Gopinath Temple, there's that big courtyard of black and white flagstones. And for some reason, I always think of being there in the evening time and the full moon. When we go there, often it's evening time towards the end of a day of parikrama, and the moonlight is shining down into that courtyard. And generally we'll sit there, and of course, more often than not, we sing the song, the three parts of the song Gopinath of Bhakti Thakur, where this beautiful, heartfelt appeal to the Lord for his grace and mercy of Bhakti Thakur. So that's what comes into my heart when I'm thinking of the Gopinath Temple. I'm thinking of being there with the devotees, this ancient deity from the time of Braj-mandal, the grandson of Krishna, lost for so many years, rediscovered at Bhatta by Madhu Pandit and installed there for worship. That's that song, Tomala Sakala, Sava, everything is your Maya, Manaje Pagala Mora, but my mind is crazy. Tumi Rishike Damiya, you're the Lord of the senses, please, my Lord, help me. Oh Gopinath, oh Gopinath. This is where we sit, yes, back here, and inside there, it's quiet, the temple, there's so many people coming, but if you sit a little back, you can happily sing some songs, sing some beautiful prayers. And here we see that the red sandstone. This temple is an amazing temple. You have to sort of find your way around the back to really behold it. It's in the style of Yugala Kishore and Madan Mohan, but it's been, neglected for a long time now. So it's in a state of disrepair, but looks like something from another world. Absolutely.
Really beautiful looking temple.
Yes. And, I don't know so many things about Madhu Pandit or the history of the deity, but I can feel the sweetness of sitting there with our friends and family under the soothing moonlight and lotus feet of Srila Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and given some, and singing these songs, being blessed with some actual appreciation of all them, sitting there like, how is this possible? How did we come to this place? How are we even hearing these things of this Gopinath? I mean, we're bowing our heads to that, and this beautiful temple. Yes, Maharaj, what can I say?
Yes, and on that note, and just to tie this together, so Guru Maharaj saying when Gopal Bhatta Goswami is making these prayers, the Govinda Balava to Srimati Radharani, saying you are the queen of the heart of Govinda, and he's saying, so he's showing who's nearest, who's our next nearest. If to get close to Krishna, then that means Radharani. Who's next to her? Lalita Vishaka. Who's next to her? Rupa Rati, our Guru Varga, Bhakti. And he said, so what is realistic for us? Who is the next nearest agent? My Gurudev. My Gurudev is the connection of this hierarchy of servitude. When we hear things, oh, this is the impossible, these great devotees, we can't fathom their love and affection and the level of devotion they have. But Guru Maharaj is saying, but our next nearest agent, our Gurudev, he's bringing us in connection with them. So that's the salient point I take from you there. And so we're ending tonight with Gopinath, the Prayojan Tattva deity, Sriman Rasara Sarangi Bangshi Bhatta Tatastita Karshan Venu Swanai Gopi Gopinatha Sri Estunaha. Hare Krishna. Abhiram time saying Hari Harai.
Hari Karaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Karaya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya
Giridhari Gopinath Madana Shri Jaganya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Radhara Shiva Sandhi Dasatar Sadasri Srimad Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Bhagavan Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Jai Saparikar Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Rasa Gandharva Rasa Bihari Jiu ki jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Govinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Braj-mandal parikrama ki jai. Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Shri Gupta Govardhan ki jai. Om Vishnupad Vishvavarena Sri Lasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda ki jai. Jai Sri Bhakti Vimal Avadut Maharaj ki jai. Jai Sri Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai. Jai Sri Pad Bhakti Vigraha Nyasi Maharaj ki jai. Jai Sri Pad Devashis Prabhu ki jai. Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi ki jai. Sri Paramananda Prabhu ki jai. Sannyasi Vrinda ki jai, Seva Vrinda ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gau Premanande.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Devashis Prabhu, my Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj and the Vila Govinda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Keshavananda Prabhu, Shanti Mohi Didi, Manindra Mohan Prabhu, Krishna Kanta Didi, Madhuranan Prabhu, the Siberian Tonks Temple, Balavanta Prabhu, Ekadashi, Subhada, and Damayanti and Jagan Mohini, Jagan Mata, Hare Krishna. Rupa Vilas Prabhu in the Philippines, Dandavat, Chaitanya Mohi, Dhananjaya Prabhu in Roma, Hare Krishna. Sri Hari Prabhu in Brazil, Dandavat, Chaitanya Nitai Prabhu in Vrindavan, the very place we're visiting. Dandavat. So Lakshana Didi is here. Sri Lekha Didi, Dandavat, please be prepared to say a little something tomorrow evening, if you'll be so kind. Hare Krishna. Pandita Didi Dandavat, Sripad Bhakti Vigraha Nyasi Maharaj Dandavat, Kum Didi Dandavat. Also, if you can be prepared to say something tomorrow evening. If you want to know where we're going, ask Madhusudan Maharaj. Rasananda Prabhu in Sochi, Dandavat. Udaran Prabhu, Dandavat. Banamali, Hare Krishna. And Kaselni, but no, he says Ijevsk.
Yes, he's from Egypt.
Oh, but in Kaselni, right? Dandavat. Here. Alexei, my Dandavat to you. And this Lais Bhoti, Dandavat. Divya Shakti Didi. Also, Divya, be prepared to say a few words in glorification of this divine place. And Radha Govinda Sundar and Mahaprabhu, or your seva to them is in transit and about to arrive. We have some notice. Stay tuned. Purushottam Prabhu, Dandavat. Rajalatika Didi and Ors, Dandavat. Jai Srila Bhakti Sevan Rishikesh Maharaj and the assembled Bhakta Vrinda in Abhazia. Most likely, Dandavat. Ananda Lila Didi, Dandavat. Abhinava Sundar Prabhu, Dandavat. Jaya Didi, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Ashapurna Didi, Dandavat. I'm reading your letter for my pleasure and satisfaction, and I will respond. Sushmita Didi, Dandavat Nihal, Hare Krishna. Suchitra, Dandavat. Subhashini Didi, Dandavat. Srila Bhakti Asrai, Dandi Maharaj, and Lila Sundar Prabhu, Dandavat. Sandeep, Krishna Prabhu, Maheshwari Deity, Janvi, and the outfits, they arrive today. And we put them on the deities, and they're so beautiful, we can't take them off. So we have a dilemma, but a sweet dilemma. So soon they will reveal their divine forms to everyone, and everyone here as well. Ajita Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat, Elena, Jamuna's mother, Dandavat, Ananta Shesh Prabhu in Spain, Dandavat, Aviram Prabhu, Dandavat, Ratan Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat, Indumukhi, Vrinda Deity, Dandavat, Indumukhi, Dandavat, Nadia Priya Deity, Dandavat, Chandrakanti, Dandavat, and Sudevi, and Anandamoy, oh, Hare Krishna. So it's her cousin's tailor, right? Who wants to make clothes for the deities? Yeah. Hare Krishna. Oh, look at Sudevi giving pranam. She's a good girl. And Hare Krishna. Dandavat. Ragaleka Deity, Dandavat. Seva Rupa Devi Dasi. And Kaila in South Africa, Dandavat. So sweet. Hare Krishna. Sugandha Kanti Didi, Dandavat. Achyutananda and Yaroslavu, Dandavat Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yeah. That's Sushmita. Yeah. All right. Nanda Priya Didi, Dandavat. Rasananda and Sochi, Dandavat. Nityananda Das here, Dhananjay in Russia, Dandavat. Ravindra Krishna and Shama Ballava Didi, Dandavat. Induleka Didi, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Praneshri Didi, Dandavat. She's doing the Spanish translation. Prafula Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Nikita and Altai. Altai, Russia, mountains. Hare Krishna. Leela Madhurja, Dandavat. Shanti Mohi. Nalena Nayana, Devi Dasi, Dandavat. Sundari, Dandavat. Rasananda, Dandavat. Kia Rasan. Hare Krishna. All right. Is that everyone? Ajitasha, Dandavat. All right. Vancha kalpa drivyascha kripa sindhu vevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.